back to my new adventure, trying for a second attempt to reach Ytterkortrummet on Greenland. I have now decided to quit my everyday job to try making a living out of producing the best sailing adventures to be explored around the huge North Atlantic oceans. Last year, I got efficiently stopped by big belts of ice along the Greenland coast, but as I never work with having a plan B, I decided to give it another shot this year, as the ice seemed to be all melted away, only leaving a few chunks of ice spread widely across the Greenland Sea. I've spent the last year preparing the boat with some amazing technology, sails and hardware to make the journey as safe as possible. Welcome back to Faroe Islands, to see when nature strikes back. I was setting up for my third leg, sailing from the Faroes over to Vestmannaeyjar on Iceland, 392 nautical miles away, or 3 days of ocean crossing.
Thank you. I might be back sooner. When are you coming back? I don't know, but I can see the low pressures are crazy up there now. So have a safe sail. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. All the best.
During my stay, I had catched a somewhat bad cold with a leaky nose, cough and fever. I chose to wave it off as a passing flu. But to be sure, I took a COVID test 4 hours upon departure. As I still hadn't heard anything from the doctor, I was pretty sure I was off the hook and carried on to the fuel station to top my tanks for the big ride. The report said I would start out in a 3-knot breeze. This meant engine 1/3 of the way. The wind would later turn against me, forcing me to tack the rest of the way to Vestmannaeyjar.
Okay, welcome back. I'm about to leave Tórshavn now. I've been staying here for 5 days, waiting for weather, and right now it looks pretty good. It's 24 hours of motoring, and then it will be headwinds, 15 knots, 1.5, and we'll see how it goes. If I can point my course anywhere on South Iceland. It's just to try. If I wait more, there will be some very strong winds coming. So if we're gonna do it, I'm gonna give it a shot now, because it's late on the year and the low pressures are lining up. And I've been catching a bad cold. Been sick for 3 days now. Excuse me. And I'm just waiting for it to go over, but it doesn't. But anyway, I'm gonna live. I tested myself today, so it's not what you think it is. Luckily, it's just a good old cold. Yeah. So I'm going with the currents now towards Sunday and out Mykines westwards to Iceland. So let's go.
I have to admit, it was with mixed feelings I left Tórshavn for Iceland. Considering my health and condition, believing it all would go away, our course was set to visit a remarkable little village called Kyrkjebø. It might be a small village, but it contains an important piece of ancient history. The former king of Norway, King Sverre, was born in 1151 and raised as a child in Kirkjubø. The St. Olav's Church, built around 1200, is the oldest church on the Faroe Islands. Next to it sits the Magnus Cathedral, built some years later around 1300. Withstanding hundreds of years being exposed to brutal weather forces, it's impressive they still stand. A big thanks to the former CEO of the Faroese Symphony Orchestra, Paul Jacob Thompson, for showing me this amazing ancient village. It was a special experience seeing it with my own eyes, and to get so close to the rise of our former King Sverre. May you rest in peace.
So I'm passing Hestur now, this huge island, and this is our course. But we're actually going this way because of the currents, and you can see the waves there there's a lot of currents and the waves there. What a beautiful place. Wow.
I made a route going in between the huge cliffs of Hestur, which is translated to horse, and Koltur, meaning foal. Passing this close to such big creations reminded me of how incredibly small and vulnerable I was in these waters. And that was exactly what I was going to find out a few hours away. I bring several drones to my expeditions, as I know how easy they get lost. This gives me the opportunity to get as close as possible to the incredible fierce nature surrounding me, even places no man has ever set foot. I'm willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to access these wonders for my audience to have the best experience possible, because I know many of you might not ever have the chance to get here.
Oh, my drone stopped working. Glad I brought 3. And the GPS on this one cut out, and now we're gonna use this one. Alright, change over propellers and batteries. Always go prepared.
When seeing Koltur from above, I couldn't resist myself letting my thoughts wander off to another cinematic world, starring orcs, hobbits, and a certain golden ring. On the west side, the rock shapes into a vertical wall, making homes for thousands of different seabirds. This enormous grass-covered volcanic rock is rising 477 meters into the sky, and I can only imagine the view up there. Seeing it all from a little sailboat from sea level makes you think how it all was possible to create. The next marvel on the map was the beautiful waterfall of Bøstalafossur. The water flows from a lake lying 30 meters over sea level, called Sørvagsvatn. This mind-blowing wild nature just went on and on as we slided along the coast. I felt incredibly lucky to be alive and breathing to see this kind of powerful nature. and to have it all wrapped in a sunset made it even more spectacular. But along with power and beauty comes also danger. Faroe Islands is positioned on a huge, shallow ridge in the northeast Atlantic. It sits just perfectly to be hit by the strong Gulf Stream. The Gulf Stream comes all the way from the hot Caribbean oceans and is warm. Warm water carries less salt and is therefore lighter, meaning it flows on the ocean surface. When it reaches the shallow waters around the Faroes, it increases in speed and hits hard around the islands. And this was what I was about to encounter for the first time this fine, quiet evening. Little did I know that this one, at the edge of the big spiky mountain of Tindhólmur, was just the baby one. The mother was yet to come.
Insane ocean current around the Tindhólmur. Look at this. Wow. And it's no wind, it's only ocean currents. Doing 8 knots now. 4 through the water.
Having gone through the first challenge of the Gulf Stream, it was safe to say that the tide was about to turn in more ways than one.
Okay, slight change of plans, unfortunately. You remember when I departed Tórshavn, I said I felt a little bit cold, and but I said that it was not COVID. I tested myself, and I never heard any more from them. And suddenly they just called me some time ago, an hour ago, and they said that I tested positive and that I had to go into 10 days of quarantine. And that's just a showstopper for this ride, unfortunately. So I'm just passing Mykines's now, the most westerly point of Faroe Islands, which will be the last sight of land. Next waypoint will be Iceland, but that's not gonna happen. And the condition of my health has decreased a little bit, so it's not safe to cross 400 nautical miles with North Atlantic Ocean in this condition. It sucks, it really sucks, but that's just the way it is. It could be worse. Okay, I'm just gonna take the last pictures now. I'm not giving up. This is just what I mean with there's no plan B. With that, I mean that as long as you give it all you got, give it everything you got, try to reach your goal. As long as you do that, even if you don't reach your goal, you can feel some kind of victory. Or so I don't feel bad. It's just the nature of the situation. I tried with all I had, prepared the boat for a year, got all the equipment, and yeah. And it's a bit late on the season too. It's the winter time up in Greenland now, so the storms are developing, the low pressures coming from Caribbean and all the way up to yeah, okay, whatever. Last pictures to be taken.
What I didn't know is that I was closing into the worst area of tidal streams at its strongest point of time in the whole of Faroe Islands, located just at the westerly tip of Mykines. You can even see the scope of this phenomenon zooming in on Google Earth.
Okay, sorry to take you out of the film like this, and the reason is because I don't have any more shots after this. I have a couple of shots more, one before the incident and one after, so, and I'm gonna explain what happened. Okay, so what happened was that I get as close as I could to land on the lighthouse, and I flew my drone up around the lighthouse, and while that happened, my boat was going 4 or 5 knots downstream. I didn't notice it until I saw some really big waves around me. And while flying, I thought, okay, what's happening here? And I was so overwhelmed that I just picked up my camera while flying the drone just to have some shots of the waves. I didn't think that it was going to be worse. That's why I wanted to film it. But it got worse and worse by the second. So you can take a look at this video, the last video from the DSLR. Look at those crazy tidal waves just outside the... Oh shit. Oh wow. Oh whoa. That's a big one. As you can see, it got really bad really quick. So the next thing that happened was that I was surrounded by huge waves, 3-4 meters high, crashing down over the boat and filling up the cockpit with water. And I was afraid of my life. It was an inferno. It was insane. Never seen anything like it. So what I did was to just let go of the controller. It was just hanging here on my chest, and I run to the steering wheel, full throttle, tried to get away. And I didn't get anywhere. The currents was just holding me in one place, and the waves was just crashing over the boat, and I thought this is the way I'm going to go. Then I remembered the ocean currents. I actually filmed it with the drone, so I remembered that if I go away from land somehow, I will get out of this thing. And that's when I tried to turn the boat and surf it sideways on the waves. I got knocked over several times, you know, with the waves coming on the side. I had the mast up almost into the water, maybe like this many times for each wave. And because I have a really heavy keel, 50%, 3 tons in the keel, that's what saved me, I think, the way the boat is built with the heavy keel. I know newer boats might not have that weight in the keel, so it could be worse, but I think it saved me. And slowly I got out of it, and that's when I remember that I had this GoPro on my pole behind me, and I just took the hand and I find a button, and I didn't get to film, but I took some pictures, and you can see how that is. That's when I'm actually out of it, so it was even bad then. So take a look. Yeah, so it was quite bad, as you can see. And the drone, I just lost it. It went out of battery up there in the sky, and it just probably drowned somewhere. But that didn't matter. The camera broke, but it didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was that I was still alive and breathing. And with that, I turned around and slowly went back to Tórshavn to lick my wounds, I guess. Yeah. Just had the scariest time of my life. I was flying my drone over Mykines to get the last beautiful pictures, and I was slowly coming closer and closer to some huge tidal waves. They didn't look that big on a distance, but as I got closer, it got more and more crazy. And I think I got most of it on film, and I almost got tipped over by a big one. I was really afraid that this was the last moment. So I've turned around now, and I'm going to go back to Tórshavn and have a good rest. fucking hell. So I lost my drone and I destroyed my DSLR camera. Might have lost my controller because a huge wave filled the cockpit with water, absolutely filled it. And it also came down the companionway. So that doesn't matter at all as long as I survive that shit. Jesus Christ.
So being utterly beaten by Mother Nature in all kinds of ways, I headed back to Tórshavn. It might seem like the Viking gods wasn't quite ready to send me through the gates of Valhalla just yet. Maybe they just wanted me to reach Greenland next year after all.
So that's us entering Tórshavn again. It wasn't exactly the plan, but that's life. And I'm gonna hopefully find the same place I stayed and tie up and yeah, go into quarantine. Wow, that was not the plan. And I'm freezing. My Webasto diesel heater cut out probably because the exhaust pipe is filled with seawater. So I need to check that tomorrow. Okay. Hi. No, I got a call from the test center. I'm positive. So I need to stay for 10 days. I'm gonna just go back to Norway. 10 days. Yeah, it's too bad. So I thought I was off the hook, but I wasn't. Anyway. Okay, so I've been sitting here for 3 days now in quarantine, and I'm not allowed to go on shore. And I'm getting a little bit crazy of it. I'm not used to just sit in my boat. And yeah, thanks to all the helpful people to getting me groceries and food, as I can't go on shore to shop myself. Thank you so much. You've been too kind. Thank you. And it's Saturday now, and it's 7 o'clock, and I decided to head back to Norway now. Go to Shetland first, and if the weather is good, maybe I'll just lounge straight through it and go to Norway. And take the rest of the days in quarantine in my boat, in my port. Whatever. Yeah, but that will be a next episode. So I will see you then. So in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed the scenery on the west side, and yeah, and enjoyed the little near accident at the end there. Yeah, but I will see you next episode. Faroe Islands to Norway. Bye. Okay, so that was what happened when I got struck by nature, when it strikes back. Bad thing. So follow me on the next video. I will sail from Faroe Islands to back to Haugesund, all the way back to Haugesund in one piece. It was a nice trip, but a long one. So check it out. And to support me, many people ask, how can we support you, Erik? And that's incredibly nice. What I like is for you to follow me on my Instagram and Facebook page. And also you can contribute on Patreon. I have a site called Patreon where you can donate whatever amount of funds you want. Or you can go to PayPal and do the same thing there, whatever you want. Everything is very much appreciated. And also, I have a lot of t-shirts in my stores. You can see them in the link. I will put out the link in the video description under the video here. And yeah, that's about it. So I will see you next time. All right, bye.